Today we'll talk about discourse analysis and its teaching, which may be helpful for young learners to understand how language is manipulated in real-life situations to create certain meanings. In this way, they may be able to understand how different meanings may be associated with a single utterance in actual situations. For young learners belonging to English language learning or any other second language, this may be of great importance. Before we move on to this, let's try to define what is discourse. Discourse may be defined as any stretch of language which is delivered at any length or in any mode, which conveys meanings and generate coherence among the speakers of a certain communication. It helps people understand the meaning. Discourse analysis involves all those theories and methods and their development as well as their use in order to analyze the language in actual use. It helps people understand how various meanings are generated within a certain discourse or communication act. The term was first introduced by Harris in somewhere in 1950s, and he used this term to describe language beyond sentence level. Previously, we have a lot of linguistics about the analysis of language to the level of sentence, but we had little knowledge about the analysis of language beyond sentence level. And Harris thought that there should be certain mechanism which should enable us to understand language beyond sentence level, because that is where actual communication occurs and real meanings are generated. So he used this term of discourse analysis to understand and interpret language beyond a sentence level. Then he also used this term to find a relationship between linguistic and non-linguistic behavior within a communication act, because we cannot understand meaning in isolation by only understanding the linguistic items involved. We also have to resort to non-linguistic behavior, for example, body language and other modes, in order to understand the real meanings of a communication. So discourse analysis moves beyond mere linguistic items to socio-cultural items which add to the meanings of a communication. It ranges from textually oriented meanings to socially constructed meanings, which are so important, as I said earlier, in real life situations. And applied linguistics concern with discourse analysis is a recent phenomena, and it has enhanced the scope of applied linguistics. Previously, applied linguistics was just thought a discipline which applies the knowledge of pure linguistics into language-related problems or in some kind of teaching. But with the emergence of discourse analysis as a powerful discipline, the scope of applied linguistics has widened enough. It has been a problematic area since beginning, because people are yet to decide about uniform methods and theories about discourse analysis. There is a lot of knowledge which is emerging about this kind of analysis every day, and people are trying to interpret it and use it in real life analysis. There are various approaches which may be employed to understand a discourse, and various theories and methods of discourse analysis do apply them. For example, there is a lot of help which is taken from social theories, schema theory, pragmatics, other forms of analysis, for example, conversation analysis, ethnography, genre analysis, and literary theory, and more importantly, rhetoric analysis as well. There are certain principles or aspects of discourse analysis which may help us to understand discourse and its analysis in a society. Discourse is considered to be a partner in the construction of social reality. we use language in a certain way in a certain culture, which adds to the meaning within that context. So discourse helps us to understand the meaning of a certain use of language in a certain context. So it is closely tied with the context in which it is generated. It also helps us to construct and understand various socio-cultural identities, especially the people who are using a discourse in a certain way. The way we use language and the language which we use for our communication do comment about our socio-cultural identities. And discourse analysis studies also believe that discourse is a performance. When we say something, we actually do something. So while saying, we do perform certain acts as well, and which carry various meanings. Discourse has a connection with other discourses or texts produced earlier, and we roughly call it intertextuality. So every text or discourse produced has a connection with various texts or discourses produced on the same topic. There is certainly certain differences between spoken and written discourse. It has been an important topic of discussion in earlier discourse analysis studies. Let's look at certain differences here. For example, writing is considered to be more intricate grammatically as compared to speaking. There is more lexical density in writing as well as compared to speaking. And similarly, the use of nominalization, which means the use of nouns instead of verbs to explain a certain action or event in a talk. So nominalization is used more in written discourse. Writing is also considered to be more explicit as compared to speaking. However, speaking is considered to be more contextualized as compared to writing. Writing is, to a large extent, considered to be decontextualized, especially when we compare it with speaking. Speaking happens in a certain context, and a lot of meanings are generated during the spoken interaction. So it is more contextualized as compared to writing. Similarly, there is more spontaneity or naturalness in spoken discourse because it happens at the same or within the same situation. There is more repetition, hesitation, and redundancy in spoken discourse as well. These are some of the features of spoken and written discourse, which may be considered to be important to be understood for the beginners.